Mic check, mic check, mic check. Hey everyone, meteorologist Alden here in the WHAS 11 First Alert Storm Team Weather Center, and we're going through our new live streaming software here, but we also want to talk about our snow chances that we have coming up that are in the extended forecast. Now, I know a lot of us are probably skeptical after this past weekend when snow was going to occur and then it very quickly did not occur. This is a different forecast this time, and each weather system, you have to remember, is different. So we're going to be looking at things here a bit more closely and breaking down what exactly we expect to see. So we're live here on our streaming, on our WHAS 11 Plus, on our Facebook pages, and on our YouTube. So we'll go ahead here as I'm looking over here at a different computer that I need to touch as well, and push ahead to what we are going to be seeing over the next 48 hours or so as I pull up the correct source over here, and there we go. So I'll go ahead and push through here, and I want to start with talking about some of our February statistics so far. If you think February has been warm, you are very, very correct. It's so far the third warmest February on record that we've had. 14 of the 15 days so far this month have been in the 50s and the 60s, and we're currently 10.5 degrees above normal when it comes to that temperature. So it has been a bit of a fall spring, but it's been a very strong fall spring. But this is also your reminder that it is still winter and we can still get cold and we can still see snow, which is what we're expecting here as we head into our Friday. So these are the top 3 things that you need to know when it comes to that winter weather potential for tomorrow. We're looking at a time frame of around 4 p.m. to midnight, and we're expecting light, slushy accumulations with a much colder weekend in store for us. Certainly much colder than what we've been used to here over the last couple of weeks. And it's going to be a little bit of a shock to the system as we continue through the closing couple of weeks here of winter, at least meteorological winter. Meteorological spring will start on March 1st, fun fact, but then we still got about a month or so before we head to our astronomical spring that everybody knows and is used to. So with that said, let's go ahead and break down the forecast as we head through the next 48 hours or so here. So here's a look at Futurecast. We're mostly sunny at the moment. We'll see some high clouds moving in. Later this afternoon, our temperatures will be topping out around 60 degrees. Our average high is still only about 48 or so, so we'll be running about 12 degrees warmer than average with those mostly sunny skies across the area. Then we'll have fairly quiet conditions as we head through the course of tonight. Temperatures will be falling to near freezing. But heading into early afternoon tomorrow, we'll be watching for a broad area of rain showers and snow, in addition to a rain-snow mix moving in from the west, moving eastward along I-64. Now notice when this starts to move in, we're going to be kind of split here across Kentuckiana, with areas north of I-64 probably seeing a wet, heavy snow, and areas south of I-64 seeing a very chilly rainfall. But we do think that rain-snow transition line will be relatively close to the metro initially before it starts to push southward a little bit. And areas south of the parkway is probably more so going to be seeing a cold rain as we head into the late afternoon and early evening hours for tomorrow. But look at that broader area of snow. And I want to point out our temperatures. Notice how they're in the lower and middle 30s. That's going to work against snowfall and work against snowfall accumulation, because if your temperatures are above freezing like this and you still have snow, well, that snowflake is going to be fairly wet in the sense that it's going to be melting as it's falling from the sky or melting soon after contact on the ground. But if it snows heavily enough, despite those temperatures above freezing, snow can overcome the warm ground, the warm road, and the other slightly warmer surface and end up with some of those quick snow accumulations, which is kind of what we're anticipating for tomorrow. But our ground temperatures are still pretty warm, relatively speaking, so hopefully that will mitigate some of the impacts that we see on the roadway for tomorrow during the rush hour commute. So maybe allow yourself some extra time on that rush hour commute in case visibility is low, in case traffic is slow because of the snowfall. That's your first alert on that. As we continue into the evening and into the early nighttime hours, see how that snow starts to push more eastward and southward. So areas south of the parkway should start to see that transition over to all snow as well into the late evening and early nighttime hours, but our temperatures still hovering right around that freezing mark. If temperatures drop a couple of extra degrees and we're sitting around 30, 31 degrees, it'd be a lot easier for that snow to actually accumulate. It would still be fairly wet and heavy, but it would be less inclined to melt. However, if they're around 33, 34 degrees, then we would probably see some pretty decent melting, and our temperatures are going to be working against that snowfall accumulation potential. Notice how this is a relatively quick event. By midnight, most of this activity should be gone, and our temperatures are really going to fall off afterwards. We'll wake up Saturday morning likely in the 20s, maybe in a few spots in southern Indiana in the teens there, before we warm back up into the lower 30s. That's all the warmer it's going to be on Saturday. Lower to middle 30s. We'll have sunshine at least, but if temperatures are around that freezing mark or even a little bit warmer than that, then we're going to already see some relatively quick melting of that snowfall. And then still going to be cold, temperatures holding somewhat steady through Saturday night into Sunday morning. So if you've been enjoying this spring-like weather, this is going to be a bit of a reality check that yes, it is still winter, and in fact it can still snow in February. As for those snowfall amounts, well, 1 to 3 inches is what our current forecast thinking is. Less south of the parkways, probably only up to about an inch, just because you'll see that chilly rainfall for longer, and that transition to snow is going to be coming later. Isolated spots could see up to 3 inches, so 3 inches is at the high end of that. And with the melting that we're going to be likely experiencing with this as well, that's why we're saying it should be a slushy snow. Our last couple of snows were like that. They were fairly slushy because our temperatures were right around that critical threshold of about the freezing mark. So notice how that 1 to 3 band extends from about the Western Kentucky Bluegrass Parkways area northwards past Highway 56 in southern Indiana through Lawrence, Jackson, and Jennings counties. Excuse me, in southern Indiana. So that's the snowfall forecast through tomorrow evening. As mentioned, temperatures are going to be getting colder as well. That's also going to be accompanied with some fairly cold wind chills. So what we're looking at now is that futurecast temperature and wind chill map. The wind chill, what the air feels like to us, is that smaller pink number there. Notice for tomorrow afternoon, our highs are still going to be in the lower 40s, actually a little bit below normal by a couple of degrees, wind chills in the upper 30s, so really not feeling it too bad. But as we continue through the afternoon and into the evening hours, that's when we'll notice those temperatures really dropping. Waking up Saturday morning again, lows in the upper teens to the low 20s, with those teens most likely in southern Indiana, and our wind chill values probably in the teens as well. So it's definitely going to be feeling pretty cold for us, and some of the coldest we've had, coldest air we've had since literally last month. It certainly hasn't been this cold so far in February. As we continue into our Saturday afternoon, again, those temperatures not really budging too much. Only in the 30s, lower to middle 30s. Wind chill values likely in the middle 20s for us. So we are going to need those winter coats once again. And heading into Sunday morning, that's when we'll start to see those temperatures rebound fairly quickly. So it's going to be pretty much a cold snap for us, not lasting very long, but still some fairly decently cold wind chill values. What your weather app won't tell you as we look outside over a very sunny day, another day with temperatures near 60 degrees, hard to believe that we could potentially have snow coming our way. Road and ground temperatures are very warm, so that's why we are expecting slightly minimal impacts to the roadways unless it comes down hard enough. Because of those grounds, because of the roads being so warm, a lot of that snow is going to melt, and if it does start to accumulate, it would probably be very quickly turning to a slush, so we could still see them treating the roads. But it's going to be a bit iffy on that, because if we have rain beforehand, that would wash away any of that salt or brine that they would have on the roads, which is why they need it to stay cold and stay dry before they start treating them. And as mentioned, what slushy snow is what we would likely be seeing from that. There are no winter weather alerts in effect right now. Last week, there's a little bit of a jumping of the gun, admittedly, when it came to that snow potential. So we'll probably wait until this afternoon or early tomorrow morning before we see any possible winter weather advisory put out there. And how am I trying to say this? What would constitute that winter weather advisory would probably be some reduced visibility because of any potential heavy snowfall, in addition to the cold temperatures that we haven't experienced in a couple of weeks here. Now, some good news with all of this, and with the rain that we saw last week, our drought has been virtually eliminated. We only have an area of abnormally dryness north of Highway 56 in southern Indiana, including Bedford, parts of Paoli, Salem, Seymour area, North Vernon, and just north of Scottsburg and Madison. So we don't have any drought concerns right now, which is really, really good news. So that's a quick run through of what we're expecting for tomorrow. Meteorologist Sam Gabrielli is sitting here with me too. He'll have the latest forecast coming up on WHAS 11 News at noon. And then Christina San Juan and Colleen Peterson will be back for you later on this evening at 4, 5, 6, and 11 o'clock with the latest forecast. So until then, stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and we'll get you that latest forecast later on this afternoon. In the meantime, here's a look outside over Scottsburg at the moment.